all experience, everything originates from the mind. Heaven and hell are products of and only exist out of the imagination. If I had no mind, I would no longer be. I would no longer be able to perceive anything or experience anything. And without my ability to think and imagine, then there is no heaven or hell. And this is duality, good and bad. And these concepts only exist in the waking dream that we're currently experiencing. So we create our heaven and hell by what we habitually think and believe on a regular basis. There is no such thing as suffering without a mind to experience it. And in the Buddhist and Hindu philosophies, all suffering comes from attachment to the roller coaster ride of thoughts, to the monkey mind. And there's no lasting and sustainable peace to be found amongst the monkey mind. How are you going to find sustainable peace in your thoughts when your thoughts are constantly changing like the tides of the ocean? And they're not temporary. And so, like Advaita Vedanta in Hinduism, non-duality, is basically all suffering comes from believing and paying heed to your thoughts. That beyond thought there is peace, tranquility, calmness, stillness, nothing to worry about. And I look at it as your thoughts being a roller coaster. And most people hang on to their thoughts. Like they hang on to the roller coaster and they're like, whoa, shit! And then they fly down this steep decline and they're terrified, and then they're excited, and they go through this whole wave of emotions, and they're hanging on to the roller coaster instead of taking a step back and watching the thoughts come and go, and realizing that we're beyond our thoughts. We're the observer of our thoughts, and that we don't have to hold on to them and be attached to them and ride them wherever they go. We don't have to hold on to the monkey's back and suffer with it and experience the temporary highs that are they're not lasting, and they will always end. And so to be in the middle ground between extremes, between happiness and sadness, which is peace, it's stillness, tranquility, calm, serenity. And the religions, they like to for centuries they've perpetrated this idea of a God in the sky that has created all of us, and if we don't abide by his or her, most of them say his, laws and rules, then we're sentenced to an eternity of damnation, of hell and fire and torture, no mercy. And I ask, what type of all-pervading, omnipotent, pure potential energy, boundless, limitless creator would even have eternal damnation cross his palate, cross his consciousness? Why would the unlimited pure potential power of all develop such limited, confounding, binding terms that if you don't follow these rules and do exactly as he says, that you're going to go to a place and never be able to get out of it? And this can be a metaphor on one level, where if we don't abide by the laws of nature, such as if we don't eat the proper diet for our species, we will get sick and develop a dis-ease in our system. We will suffer in that regard. If we hang on to our every thought and an emotional roller coaster ride, we will suffer. Or we will experience bliss when we go out and we go shopping and we buy a new outfit. We experience temporary bliss. When we get in an argument with a loved one and things don't go right, then we experience temporary hell. And so in that regard, if you don't get enough sleep, your health will decline and you'll feel like shit. And in these regards, if you don't follow the laws of nature, you will suffer. But that's as far as heaven or hell goes, because the laws of nature only exist in this temporary dream. And another metaphor I like to use is that God is like the truth. The real reality is like a television set, and the channels on the television are like life. So you turn on the TV and you've got an action flick, and then you change the channel and you've got a horror movie. Change the channel again, you've got an infomercial. And there's almost an endless amount of channels with different characters and different happenings. And that's like life. There's an infinite amount of humans and plant life and animals and insects and trees. And this is like the channels on a TV set. So all is one ultimately. All is the universe, or the one verse, but it's expressed as multiple, an infinite amount of characters. And I am just one channel. I'm one, cartoon character in this illusion, this dream, this temporary dream. But the television set is always there, and it always remains the same. And the hardware is always there, and it always remains the same. And just the channels just keep going through the hardware and the television set, just like our thoughts, illusions. And we've dove into this dream and gotten lost, and we are now identifying with the characters on the TV instead of the TV. We're identifying with the movie instead of the screen. So it's just like a dream. When you're having a dream, you picture all these things are happening to you, and it's so real. And if it's a stressful dream, you're sweating beads, and you're scared, and you're nervous, and you have anxiety, and it's like hell. And you think it's so real until you wake up. And then you're like, whew, glad that wasn't, real. And you're so happy to wake up. Or if you're having a great dream and you're hanging out with your mentor, you're hanging out with an idol or something, you're doing something real fun, and then someone walks in your room and wakes you up, and you're like, fuck, why'd you have to wake me up? I was having a great dream. Damn it. And amidst the dream, you don't even know you're dreaming. It's your reality. And all the characters in your dream feel like they're outside of you, but you're imagining all of them. And that's this real life. And I think we have our dreams to kind of as a clue that maybe the dream world goes beyond just when we're so-called sleeping. And so all the religions, they say that there's an afterlife and you go to heaven or hell. Not all of them, but many religions like Christianity. And I believe that Jesus had a great message, and then what happened is people that were of a lesser understanding, of a lesser consciousness, that couldn't grasp the awareness that he had, they made a religion after him. And they wrote down words, and then over the years, the words were changed, lost in translation. And the powers that be, the royalty, they filtered it out and took books out, took paragraphs out, changed words to fit it to their agenda. And now people are following a religion called Christianity or Catholicism that is a far cry from the original teachings of the Jesus Christ. And now we're giving our power away to an outside deity, an outside entity, and saying that we are lesser than God and separate from that ultimate source. You see, we are the characters in the play and the audience in the seats. We are the movie and the audience, the watcher. But when we identify fully with the character, then we go through this whole ups and downs of life and this roller coaster ride, and there is no lasting sustainable peace to be found, and we're investing our happiness into temporary circumstances. And that is a life of slavery and suffering and depression and anxiety and volatility and bipolar. Because the truth is, we are God dreaming. So the only hell or heaven that there could possibly be is the one that we create for ourselves. Peace.